Back again.
Hello.
Back again.
You're never off the telly, Linz. I feel like I'm just a guest now.
Yes.
You're on the telly so much. I actually caught the one tonight. Actually, the one I.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Just as it finished, I had you on double speed.
I was a bit late getting on because I was driving from my house to Tim's, and I was a bit late, so I was a bit late getting on, but we got it done. And we're day 31 tomorrow. That means we've done the whole of January, so that's only another 11 months to go. What the hell are we going to talk about? I think at some point I'm going to have to. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll just be having question and answer. Who God knows? I don't know. I hadn't thought that one out.
It will sort itself out.
I hadn't thought that one out.
Or you start again with a slightly different title.
Anyway, top of the shop is Melanie. Happy double live day, everyone. Looking forward to this live and the upcoming weekend. Very good. Georgie's here. Hi, everyone. The mini was great. Well done for tuning in. Carol's here. Morning from Canberra.
Hi, Carol.
Jeanette's here again. Hi,
bonsoir.
There's so many again. Stella again. Good morning, all from Australia. Leah's here. I've got you in my pocket while I poop it.
She doesn't need to see us, you see.
No.
She doesn't need to see us, just needs to hear us.
Until
Hi, Leah.
We start talking about something on the screen, then she's going to have to stop poo picking and have a look at her phone. Stella says, oops, Leah, so glad you finished with pick. Picking poo. Piers here, hello from Finland. Strange. January is almost over. I've been collecting rainwater for a few days, and that's the first in our winter. Is it? Gosh, because you've had so much snow. Marianne Caffrey, hello again. Garvin Ranch. Hello, any chance we could go over horse reactions to essential oils? Oh, yes. That's Gary's thing.
We can do that. We can do that.
I don't have to talk very much, then I can just sit here nodding along. Angela Garberg is here. Bonsoir. Hello, all. Ulrika says, hello. Starting to get my health back after 1 week with the flu. Yes, you've not been well. Can't wait to get back to Totem's feet now that I have x-rays done and saw P3 in a much better spot.
I saw your post. Yes, I saw your post.
If you want us to talk about that, by all means, we will. Because I saw those x-rays and I haven't had a chance. There's been quite a few people I've wanted to respond to, especially Ali. Did you see that after Tuesday's?
Yes.
After Tuesday's live, she's taken the shoes off.
And all the Meccano and everything. It's awesome. And perhaps as if Ali, I'm sure Ali will be watching this at some point if she's not on now. Now the shoes are off. Really is if you have the ability, address the bars because they were a bit folded over, as we said on Tuesday.
Hiding that seal corn, bring their heels back,
and then trim those heels a little bit. But the back of the foot actually looked quite weak.
It does. It does.
So you don't want to go mad with taking those heels back. Just let the horse move and see what it does in a fortnight. You may find that a lot of that foot will wear away naturally because it's not as healthy as it could be.
Yeah, the bars looked pretty
yeah, the bars needed addressing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And obviously boots, pads, and everything for additional comfort.
Absolutely.
But well done. And now it's a case of time. After that, keep on having a look.
Time and leave anything from the apex of the frog alone.
Forward. Yeah, leave it alone.
And just trust that, because you can't touch it. And in fact, if we have time, I might go over the post that I put up today and that x-ray that I put up. Susan Mitchell's here. Hi, everybody. Hey, Bonnie's with us. Hello, all. I have sunshine here in Montana, but a big storm is coming. I'm off to trim, so we'll have to watch the replay this evening. See you later.
I had the absolute pleasure of spending an hour with Bonnie this afternoon. Well, it was this evening for me, but it was morning for her. And there was snow on the ground, and the mountains were in the. I wasn't looking at her trimming or what we were doing. I was looking at the scenery.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it? It's really lovely.
And her second case study, an awesome horse called Brago.
Oh, how interesting!
So that brought memories back because I had a Brago too. Yes, that was. So we had a lovely time.
Oh. Laura Shillham, hi. Lydia Dubino, and we're back. Hi again from Canada. You are back. Rapture, well, hello again. Wow, hello again. Hello. Oh, hello, dear Gary.
Hiya.
Tammy Keller, hello all. Uta says, here again. Ramona's back. Hello, everyone. Ulrika says, yes, please. Yes. Okay, good. Right. Well, we can do that. Do you want to talk about, or Camilla says, hello again. I sent you a PM on Messenger, Lindsay. Need to know how many cadaver hooves I need to get for a 3-day. Ooh!
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Come on, Sweden. You can do it. Come on, Sweden. Well, so, 3 legs per person.
3 legs per person. Yeah, with a couple for us for demos. So depending on how many people are coming, really, we want 60.
60 legs, you mean? Not 60
legs.
people.
Not 60 people, 60 legs. So
that's
our average. Sometimes it goes a bit more, but that's an
sometimes
average
it's a little bit less.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit less. So whatever you can get, whatever you can get.
I'll look out for that PM. It might have gone into my other folder.
And thank you. We need this help with the legs. Lindsay and I have been having so many discussions because legs are the problem, and we can't get you to trim live horses. It's just not on when you're learning. And we were discussing just this morning, weren't we, when we were doing our chores, because we never give up work. We're even talking about stuff when we're doing our chores. These cadaver legs are that you can learn so much from them, and you've got so much time that you haven't got to worry about. So you can be an hour or more with one foot, and you can do as much or as little as you need to. But I think the one main learning curve is that on these 3 legs, these are the ones to actually get it wrong. And many do. And you feel mistakes. Awful.
But
you do. And everybody that comes on and think, oh my God. And they have smart ass like us coming along and saying, well, that heel's a bit rockered and you've over trimmed it there. And you've dug with the nippers in there, haven't you? And people are absolutely devastated because they're thinking, oh my goodness. So the cadaver legs are a big thing for us, and we're not going to waver. We're not going to waver. We can't have
the difference with the learning capacity that you can get.
Yeah. Because you're not in any rush. You haven't got to worry about a horse that's getting fed up because it's been stood there for a couple of hours, and all of those things. It's such a much nicer learning curve.
And we do it in a circle. Oh, it's great, isn't it? So everybody is facing each other in a circle, and so we can see everybody all at the same time. And we go around in a circle, and we check people, and hands are going up. It's really active sessions. They're so good. They're so cool. And we've done them for years, Gary and I never get fed up or bored with them. I love them because people it's all these different characters, different personalities, hearing the stories. We come and sit down with you. You're doing your hoof, and we start having a chat about you and your horse and why you're there. And we get to know so many people. We've taught hundreds of people over the years, and so many horses, so many lives have gone on to be saved and made healthy. And so many owners have gone on to not necessarily be trimmers, of course, but to understand what needs to be done. And I think, as I said in the mini live tonight and yesterday, it's not about making you a pro trimmer, but if you have a go, it completely changes your outlook on the foot, and you begin to learn more about it, learn more about that trim that we are, you know, the Phoenix way, the naturally balanced trim. If you don't do it, you suddenly, we can tell you over and over and over, and you'll sort of get it until you pick up a foot and then go, oh, now I get it. I was saying on the live earlier, Gary, you know, we had on our last workshop, I had a lady who said to me, I thought I understood, Lindsay, what you meant about taking the bars back. I didn't understand. Not until I actually had to do it.
I suppose people learn in different ways, don't they? So many different ways. And I'm going to equate this to when I went to when we went to the dissection clinic with Bex Nan. And I've looked at anatomy books. You look at the number and pair it with the name and all of that kind of stuff. And I find that really hard to remember.
Yeah.
And figure out how it works.
Until you got into it.
When I got into it, and okay, a dissection clinic is perhaps going a little bit too far for some people, but when you get into that, you can get your hands on. There was anatomy books at the clinic. It was like you went and had a look at the anatomy book, and it was just like bouncing out of the page at you. You had that practical experience as well as the theoretical experience, and it just brought it all together. And that's what I think that this does. You've got all of this little itty bits of information to help highlight the importance of horse and hoof care naturally, as Mother Nature intended. But the challenges then take it to another level. The 3-day workshops take it to another level. The group sessions that we have after the 10-day challenge, that takes it to another level.
Oh, yeah.
So many people are sending us images and saying, "Oh my God, look! This is what my farrier has done, because I can't do it myself. But then I saw this, and this, and they've sent me the images of after they've done their little bit, and oh my God, it's so much better.
It's unbelievable.
It's fantastic.
And I think,
yeah,
I think also that the guidelines are simple.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes.
Okay, it's harder to execute because you suddenly realize, you see it and you go, I know what needs to be done here. I know I got to bring those walls down. I know I've got to bring the bars down. I know I've got to bring the heels down. I've got to balance. I know I've got to do that. I can see it. And then you pick the tools up and you begin and you're like, I can't do it. This is hard. That's just practice and just learning the tools. But it's you have to learn it, whether you are going to trim or not. You have to learn it because it completely changes everything. It really does.
It does.
Camilla says, I will look into it. Sounds manageable. I have lots of freezers. Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Come on, girl.
Exciting.
Stella, Pia says, I think I could do Sweden from Finland. Yes. Stella says, what are the basic tools people need to have or bring to your lives, to the live in-person workshops? Well, in the UK and to a certain extent Europe, so Germany, we are going to take our stuff there. So we do have some spares, not masses, but we do have some spares. But we encourage people to bring a rasp, a pair of nippers, a knife, and a hoof pick, gloves. and something to protect their legs.
Yeah.
You know, something like over trousers, you know, waterproof trousers, a towel. Lots of people bring towels to put the foot on. Anything that's going to sort of put a barrier between you and the leg and your normal clothing. One, because it also acts as a bit more of a barrier to tools, although that doesn't happen. It's never happened. Touch wood. And secondly, there might be some juices. There just might be a few.
There might be some juices, and it can get a bit smelly.
Juices. But don't let that put you off.
Don't let that put you off.
Please don't let that put you off, because honestly, you get so absorbed in it. And I know that some people are like, oh God, no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be around cadaver legs. Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is being around live animals, and that's not the right way to learn to trim. No. Not in the early stages. And honestly, I can tell you that once you've picked the leg up and you all sit down, you're all straight, nobody thinks about it anymore. Even the people who are really worried about it just go, oh my God, that was amazing. It's amazing. It's an incredible experience to go through. We can't even explain it. We always say at the beginning of the 3-day workshop, what you are about to embark on in the next 3 days is going to blow your mind. And when you get out of the other end, you are going to be so full of stuff in your head. You will know more about barefoot and how to keep a horse healthy barefoot, whether getting there, we've got to get there, but you'll know more about that than over 90% of the professionals in the world. And the other 10% are people, let's call it 95%, and the other 5% are people like us who know about the natural foot. You will, more than hoof care professionals, more than vets, more than the top farriers, you will. I know that sounds incredible, but you will after 3 days. You might not be able to be the best trimmer on God's earth. That doesn't matter. But what you will be is somebody who will be full of so much information. You'll be like, why the hell has the world gone so far away from what the horse needs? It's gone to hell in a handbasket. Which brings me to the post. We're going to look at... brings me to the post, which we'll look at later, but we're not going to look at it now. We're going to, well, do you want to talk about essential oils first?
Yes, sure.
And then we'll, while you do that, I'll go and find Ulrika's post.
Who was the other person that asked? It was Garvin Ranch. Okay, so essential oils, herbs, powders, like clays and stuff like that. Particularly with essential oils, though, I think what you've got to think about is the essential oils themselves have a medicinal quality, but also so does the aroma. So the molecules that are in the air have a healing property too. It's not just scent. That scent has a route of administration is where I'm heading to. So horses, dogs, cats to a degree, but you've got to be very careful because with cats, essential oils can be highly toxic. So you really have to know what you're doing with cats. But basically, dogs and horses, there's main routes of administration. One is topically. So if they've got a wound or something within the body that is causing them a little bit of pain, discomfort, then the essential oils can be applied topically. The trick is being able to read the horse's behavior to see if they actually want it applied topically. You don't think, oh, that my horse has got a sore back, I'm going to stick some peppermint and whack it on. It don't work like that because that's not choice. However, I have had horses that you offer them peppermint oil, whether it be in a scoop or in your hand, and they put it on their lips, and then they put it on the part of the body that they want it on to be applied topically. That's very clever. But of course, there are parts of the body that they can't reach. So then you have to look at the behavior. You put some on your hand, they sniff it, you go to an area, and then something will change. Their breathing will change, an ear will, it's almost like they're giving you the go ahead to apply that essential oil topically. As a safety thing, some essential oils are phototoxic. Now, that means that they will burn if they come in direct contact with sunlight. So you have to be really careful with that. You just have to do your homework on that. I haven't really got time to do that right now. Other routes of administration that are much more subtle is when you offer essential oils to a horse, I always offer it for inhalation first. And they can select from one nostril or the other, or both. Now, depending on which nostril that they select from will depend on which part of the brain that they want that particular medicine to go to. And obviously that goes directly to the brain and goes completely past all of the digestion and the blood and all of that. It goes straight up to the olfactory system. Another way is through ingestion. Now, they can actually lick the essential oil with the top of their tongue, which will actually go into the gut, but also they can lick by underneath their tongue, which goes into the bloodstream quicker. You know, like for us, if anybody's got a heart problem, they use GTN spray, which actually thins the blood and gets the heart pumping and all of that. Essential oils can be selected that way too. Have I pretty much covered all of those? Oh, my wife is shouting me something in the background that I may have forgotten. Shout it out again, Rach.
Nasal.
Oh yes. So you know when they do the Fleming response, that's another usually hormonal. That's another reaction. So yes, it triggers the vomonasal organ. The next thing is really, if you offer an essential oil and they think, oh my God, I really don't want that, don't think that it's never one to offer again, because very often what they actually need first is not what you've offered first. So the order that they need those essential oils in is not what you think it is. So let me give you a for instance. You may have a horse that needs peppermint or needs pain relief. Let's talk about pain relief. Now, some of the pain relief oils like birch and wintergreen are very harsh on the gut. Now, if you've got a horse that's got a sensitive gut already, no matter how much pain it's in, will not take those painkillers because it knows its body's not ready for it. So then you can offer something to support the gut first, which would be an essential oil, something like German chamomile, or they might like to take in some slippery elm or marshmallow root. Once the gut is then in a better position to take the painkillers, you can then offer the painkillers. So a lot of track liveries now are offering like herb buffets and mixing them with a little bit of water. Sometimes they've got essential oils floating in the top. And everything is separate, but it means that the horses can go and choose and put it in an order that is good for them. There's so much to zoopharmacognosy and oils and selecting. And it's all about offering and observing and understanding the behavior of the horse, giving you basically the green light to do what's necessary.
Absolutely.
One other, which is really what is German chamomile is one of my go-tos for particularly for horses, and yarrow and green clay. Now, yarrow and green clay, if you've got an open wound, the pure yarrow, the yarrow that's from a really reliable source, and I have to say, not generally used in human aromatherapy, because most of those are weakened. They're diluted. It's very blue. It's almost like an ink blue color. And if you've got an open wound, yarrow will granulate tissue really quickly. And you can put that on to an open wound. Again, the horse has got to give you permission to be able to do that. And the blue dye disappears into the wound. And you keep applying it until it doesn't. So the body is showing you how much it needs, and then you can smother it in green clay. And then that's another super absorbent. It stops flies. And then you may go back 4 to 6 hours later and see if the yarrow is still sitting on top of the wound or it's going back in. So the body is actually showing you how much it needs to absorb, and then it will get to a certain stage and it won't want any more. It won't need any more. The body and zoopharmacognosy is a massive subject. Massive subject.
Massive. And again, we'd recommend Caroline Ingraham's.
Yes, she is one of the leading oracles of self-selection and zoopharmacognosy.
It's fascinating, and I think I think that we can be. I think we don't realize as human beings, it's almost hard for us to comprehend. I know that I certainly was a bit like this in the early days. It's hard for us to comprehend that animals can, in fact, choose things that they need. And I don't necessarily think that it is a cognitive thing. I don't necessarily think that they're thinking, oh, German chamomile. It is just what that body responds to. But they are so much more in tune.
Yeah.
This is why we know that they don't eat, they won't deliberately over toxic, make things, they won't eat things till they're overly toxic, unless of course they're starving. And that vomeronasal organ that is so much more powerful. Ours is basically defunct now. We sort of got the remnants of one, but it's not anything like it is in a dog or a cat or a horse and other animals. And so we can't appreciate what it is like to have that effect from these oils. And when you see it in action, it's amazing. It's amazing.
When you get pointed out the little things that the horse does, and each horse may have their green light may be slightly different for each horse, and you have to test it. Because you don't want to think, oh, there's a green light. Oh, there's a green light. Oh, there's a green light. You think, well, I'm not sure whether that was a green light. Let me just check that 2 or 3 times just to make sure. It is about animal behavior, observation of that animal behavior, and working with the all-important essential oils.
And I think that the closest that we can get to understanding it maybe is cravings.
Yes.
As a human, when we get a craving for something, we don't exactly know why we want that. It just is, especially if you're pregnant. Not that you'd know, Gary, but if you're pregnant and you you just can't get enough of a particular thing. My mum always tells the story that when she was pregnant, my dad used to come home to a room filled with smoke because she'd stoked the fire to the point where she'd let it go to be almost embers so that she couldn't get enough of the smell of smoke. She'd make him drive closely up behind a tar lorry if they're tarmacking a road because she couldn't get enough of the smell of tarmac. Bizarre. But she didn't even know why. I mean, she just oh, I've got to have it. It's a kind of a bit like that. I noticed that Tara put up a thing, and she said self-selection is another reason to feed loose mixed species hay. Of course it is, because you're right there. Did you hear that sneeze?
Bless you.
He can't help it. He has to get in on every single live. Somehow he needs to be heard or seen. He walked around the back of me earlier. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yes, because if you leave loose hay, you see them do it all the time. They'll toss loads of hay out of the bottom of a bucket and then they'll scuff around in the bottom, and they're picking out the things because their ability to discern between plants is incredible.
It is.
And so they pick out specific things that they want, that they really like, and then they leave it and go off to another bucket and do the same, etc. And then they'll come back and then they'll really shuffle it around. If they're in hay nets all the time, they can't do that. They just can't choose because they can't get to the bits they want to. So in a way, if we're feeding them hay nets all the time, we're not allowing them to fully use their ability to self-select what they really want. So yeah, so that was good information, Gary. Well done. I enjoyed that.
You're welcome.
Tara says, I cried the first time I watched a Zoo Farmer session and I thought it was a load of poop beforehand. Life-changing experience. You have to see it to believe it, to be honest. You really do.
Yeah.
Cornwall Club Adventures. Is that you, Toya? That is Toya. Tara, they need everything in a certain order every hour of the day. Yeah, and they know. They do it their way. They do indeed. What was the name of the essential oil specialist lady? Caroline. We
Ingraham.
say Ingraham. What is it?
It is Ingraham.
Is it, Tim? How do you say the surname Ingraham?
Oh, Ingram.
Ingram.
But it's not spelt like that.
It is spelt. Ingram is spelt Ingraham.
It is spelt Ingraham.
Yeah. Yes, no. Ingram, when you say Ingram, it's spelt Ingraham.
Yes.
It's not always, but sometimes. So it'd be interesting to know whether she actually calls herself Caroline Ingram or Ingraham.
No idea.
No,
got me
but
thinking.
It's spelled. Yeah, it's spelled
Ingraham.
Yeah, but it could be just Ingram. So yeah, and it's not a cheap book. It's on Amazon, but it's well worth having. It's well worth it. It's a lovely book.
The last I heard, it was being recently updated.
You might have to buy.
I'm not sure how far ahead they are with that right now.
No. Okay, let's go and have a look at Ulrika's post because I've got it ready. Just go away a minute. It's asking me to open settings. Yes, go away. Hold on a second. Later. Allow. Just bear with me, callers. I put it while we were waiting. I put it in Canva so that I could.
Oh, nice.
These are clever machines that they're using nowadays, because the quality of this is a very nice radiograph. I mean, when I say it's a nice radiograph, I mean it's damn clear.
It's nice. It's nice and clear. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what are we looking at here now? Actually, let me just stop sharing for a second before we go into looking at that. Let's go and have a look at what Ulrika has actually said. Here. Tell me if you could see this post. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had to change screens. I'll make it bigger. Whoop. Is that better? Yeah, that's good.
Yes, that's
okay.
much better.
This is Ulrika. She's on the call. Hi. She's on the live. Hi all. Yesterday the vet came and I asked for x-rays to see the true condition of P3 in Totem's feet. As you can see, since I lowered the heels 3 weeks ago, not exactly HSP, I have to go back as he shed more compacted cell, but still have the flow. So haven't had the strength to do so. P3 is in rather a good position. It is, and we're going to celebrate on those x-rays in a minute. But of course, damage has occurred over the years. Yes. The right front, the RF, is smaller in height. The vet, of course, said P3 had sunken. Well, we shall go and have a look at that. That foot has always had a huge crack. Well, we'll see how long that goes on and whether that heals. Totem has never had any of the usual symptoms of acute laminitis, never. But every pro he has seen told me he must have had severe laminitis. I got him when he was 4. He is almost 18. The only thing he has always had is the crack in that hoof. Of course, and here it goes, the vet. Very kind, by the way. Can't bash him for that. Said, the toes are too long, blah, 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 blah. I answered, mate. That's just me putting that in there. Mate. Before I took back the toes, and he has been lame on and off for years. Now I brought his heels down and I haven't touched the toes, and he walks and he trots and he canters perfectly, even on frozen ground. Yes. He said, okay. I think we could have had a very nice conversation about it if I weren't dying, just trying to stand. Bless her, because she had flu. If anyone can see any other important things on the x-rays that I don't see or important to know before I retrim feet, feel free to comment. I've added the picture of his front so you can see the crack and the abscess. Photos before trim, those pictures are from 1 month ago. I'll make new photos ASAP. Doing the Germany workshop. Yes, come on. Tim just walked past me with a packet of Oreos. Naughty boy. I had to make I can't eat them now. I'm on live. I had to make a choice, workshop or challenges. So until then, I'll have to rely on the group support. You can do this. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and then we're going to now go back into Canva and have a look at these x-rays. Let's go find them again. Here we go. All right. So let's look at just in general, what do we see? Well, we see some fairly even heel height, don't we, Gary? There's a little bit of difference between them, but there's not a huge amount between them. We see a foot that is nicely loaded. We see P1, P2, and P3 in a lovely position. All of them in an absolutely fine position. We actually don't see any separation, but I'm going to explain that to you more in a moment. You see the hoof wall starting to scoop out a little bit. And we've got a little bit of seedy toe and a little bit of infection in there. Remember, we've got that crack. And we have had some damage in the past. So let's go in and have a look. Let's look at the left fore. And I think, it's the right fore that's got the crack. And there's the crack just there, look. Okay, so let's go in and have a look at the left fore. So this is good alignment. This is really good. We've got some excellent alignment here. If I draw in, let me just do a bit of drawing, because I'm sure Ulrika will be very pleased if I do this. Let's just change that thickness. Go away. Right, so here is the shoulder of the coronary groove, and it's in its absolute really good place. And I'll show you exactly the same on the other side, so you can see it's in the good place. So here it ends just here. And it usually ends just across from this little notch here, which is where the extensor process attaches to. Then we can follow the hoof wall down until it gets to that spot. Now, now you can all see that. If I just take that away, refocus your eyes until you see it again. Do you see it? You follow it down. That's the hoof wall. Do you see it? Okay. What does that tell us? Well, it tells us, folks, that the distance going up here, I can't get it to move, going up here isn't changing. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? That is not separation. That has grown out. But what we have down here is we still have a little bit of confusion. And we've also got a hole, and we've also had some infection. But the infection isn't wreaking havoc back towards P3. And in fact, there are no major voids in here. Got a little bit of translucence going up here, but this is mainly confused material in there. You can see he's still got some rings. So the diet is desperately trying to sort itself out and calm down. So I think that diet is playing a role here. But this is great. And toe wall is down nearly, I think pretty much. Now what we did used to have here is, let's just remove that bottom one so you can see. If I blow this up, you can see that there's a tiny little spot there of remodeling, and you can see that P3 goes slightly up in the air. So if we take those palmar processes and we come down like this, oops, we take P3. Now P3, they do have their different shapes, and they are varied, but you can tell there has been, it's probably not quite as much as that, but you can see there has been damage in the past, and you can see the way that P3 is now sticking up slightly, that these heels used to be a lot higher, because the angle of P3 there, let me just take those red lines away, and let's just put this at the bottom of P3 here, like this, a little bit. That's pretty much what we've got, isn't it? If we then were to rotate this now until that was parallel to the ground, which is about there, you can see how high, oops, just ungroup that a minute. You can just see how high his heels used to be. Oh, damn you. Once upon a time. That was the heel height. Which is crazy, isn't it? And that was his heel height. Because it always gets remodeled parallel to the ground, which is why when you see P3 disappearing completely, but he's got, it's totem, isn't it? Totem's still got a lot of P3 left. So you've got him into an absolutely fantastic position now. I mean, bravo, because he's now down like this now, and you've taken off all that heel, which is absolutely fantastic, because you've reorientated him. You've effectively realigned P3. Jump in any time, Gary. You can see that his coronary band oops, is he? Oh, hello. You can just see the hair there. It usually transects just in this spot here, and it's coming down there. Just a little bit further, which is absolutely perfect. Really good. Good sole depth that we have here under P3. Not only do we have good sole depth, but we've got here, but we've and under here, of course. But we've also got a little bit of ground contact here. It looks more like a callus, doesn't it? As this breaks away here, but this is probably more to do with the wall pillars at the toe quarter. Just not quite enough there just at the moment. But that is pretty good. He's loading there and he's not quite ground parallel. So there's probably you can see his collateral grooves. That's the grooves either side of the frog. So there's quite likely to be a little bit more heel to come, but you don't need to force it. But just make sure that you make a very much measure from the hairline to where the heel is actually touching the ground, with the foot up in the air. You're looking at the sole. Measure those heels so that you know, so you always have a benchmark and you never ever ever go back to having high heels. Well, so that's a round of applause for that foot then. Is it not? It's great, isn't it? Absolutely love it. Where am I? I've got to go back. I came to have a
and
look.
of course, like Ulrika said in the post to the vet before she was chopping the toes off and leaving the heels. You can just see what would happen if that toe was removed. That would actually tip it forward again. Exactly. And take away and make it go back up and almost back into the position that it was in when you tipped it forward. That toe, okay, it does look a bit long from the top, but from underneath, it's a vital pillar of support. Vital. It is. Vital. So let's go have a look at the other side. It's a similar situation. It does look like, I mean, these look like artifacts of mud, frankly. It's hard to tell. It looks like there might be something there going on in P3, but I think that's artifacts on the outside. Maybe something on the inside, but I don't think so. So this interesting shape that he has of his extensor process, that's okay. That's normal. It's got a little bit of a misshape there. That could be normal for him, or it might just be a little bit of an enthesophyte, because that is where the extensor process connects to, just there. But the vet said it had sunk. Hasn't sunk, because let's go back. Let's go have a look at that coronary groove. Here we go. There it is. Exactly same as the other one. Hasn't sung at all. There's the wall. Oh, let's bring that over a bit more. Can we see that? Straight down there. So look at that. That is what we're after. It is what we're after. And then we see the hoof wall kicking out here. But you see, P3 there would have been more of P3 in the past, as you can see, because it goes up in the air. We've already talked about it with regards to the other one. We know how high his heels have been. And so will we ever get a completely straight shaped foot? Probably not, actually. It probably keep doing this. It's a bit more confused material down there, but that's not the point. What we have here is a really, really the best position. Maybe there may be a little bit more to go, but honestly, these x-rays are really good because there's no separation there. He's got his heels down. Yes, he's got some loss. And if you had a DP oblique, if you were looking down in this direction,
you'd probably find that you'll be able to see how much loss he's got. But, you know, I'd be pretty chuffed with those photos, those X-rays, and it's not sunken. It's not gone anywhere, and the depth is good. I mean, they look pretty good, both of those. Pretty good. And these are his feet from the outside, so you can see those rings. You can see this. So he's a little bit wavy on his quarters. So what you really need to be careful of, Ulrika, especially with this crack here, is you want to make absolutely 100% sure that his quarters are down to the hard sole plane and not above, which is why he's a little bit wavy. And that crack is there because he's had imbalances through his feet for years. So you need to make sure that those quarters are right down to the hard sole, but not even a blib, if a blib is a word, above the sole. Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Excellent job.
Very good.
Ulrika said she's going to put up photos of his feet a year ago when he had high heels. She's going to do that tomorrow.
Okay. And if we put, yeah, and I mean the P3s always tell a tale. Always tell a tale. You can always tell how high, and not only have they been that high, but they were that high for a long time. It's
going back to one of your, I can't remember whether it was a live that we did or a live, one of your mini lives that aren't mini.
I've given up caring now.
No, I don't blame you. Basically the premise was the hoof is a barometer for horse health, isn't it? You can look at the hoof and you can see that there might be rings, there might be waves. You pick the foot up. Is it healthy? Has it got stretch? And all of these things that will tell us whether the horse is healthy. And it's not a surprise, really, is it? If you've had horrendous hoof care for a while, when you actually take an X-ray, that's just another thing that the hoof is a barometer for health. It's just another added, because how can that, like you said with this particular horse, because he has got a bit of degeneration, and the way that pedal bone has been shaped, is it likely that those feet are going to look normal ever again? Probably not.
Rest the toe. Rest down hard on the toe, Gary.
You've got to make it look normal. You've got to force it, you know.
Normal.
But you know what?
Who wants normal?
As
I don't want normal.
Ulrika has already said,
common.
Since she's been following the Phoenix way, this horse is not constantly lame and is cantering around a field in snow and really quite happy. These are the new normal feet for Eureka's horse. And he's really quite happy about it.
And it just goes to show, doesn't it, that even with P3 degeneration, you can get them more comfortable.
Yeah.
But there is a limit. There is a limit.
And it depends on the horse.
It depends on the horse. It depends on the owner. It depends on the environment. It depends on the feed. It depends on the diet. It depends on infection. If we find there's a lot of infection in the foot, that's really problematic. And trying to clear that it's really difficult.
Very challenging.
Fiona says, watching Lindsay explain X-rays has got to be one of my favourite parts of the lives. It's like interpreting another language for us. I'm just a nerd.
Did you know, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Right. What, that you're a nerd or that I'm a nerd?
You're a nerd and I'm a student nerd.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it because it tells such a story. Right, now on that last little thing, we've only got a few minutes left, but let us go and have a quick look at the post I put up today. Hold fire, because I've just got to find it.
That was quite damning to the horse world, wasn't it?
Yeah, damn right it was. It's wrong though, isn't it, Gary? And I mean, you know, people go, "Ooh, well, I don't think." Like, look, what if we don't keep telling people about this? Oh, go back. Then
what never
nobody. It'll never change. Everybody gets off scot-free. Everybody pretends it never happened and it wasn't their fault. Right. So let's just present. Oh. Right. I'm not going to go through the great big blurb, but read it. Read this bit. This is important because that's the progression of how it happens. But here's the photo. So let's just blow that up. Human error, catastrophic hoof failure. So this was actually sent to me by I've improved that image because it was quite a nasty fuzzy image. This was sent to me by somebody who just said, "Oh, this is awful." They put it on the internet and it was being shared around all over the place. So we just took the share and just took one image from it. But they had the horse lying there. They had the hoof capsules that had sloughed off. It was just hideous. But in fact, no, I was just about to, I was going to show it you a different way then so that I can rotate it. But what's actually happened here, so this big bulge you see here at the coronary band, this is bulging because the hoof wall is digging back into itself. Do you remember I just showed you where the shoulder of the coronary groove was? You can't barely see that because that is all being distorted here. And this is incredibly painful. It's ulcerated, it's nasty, it hurts. And then what you have here, and the true coronary band, it looks like it's been pushed up even further. True coronary band would have been here, roughly, or even a little bit lower than that. But it's been so pushed up and distorted that it's just a mess. And this is swollen. Here, this big gas bubble that you see, this is the hard hoof and the lamellae and the softer tissues. This is them tearing and leaving big gaps where they shouldn't be. Then you've got P3 penetrating through the sole. You've got this high heels or even wedged heels. The horse had big, massive shoes on. Nearly horizontal coronary band. And the red lines indicate how much hoof capsule was removed, losing sole depth. Now, I put this up, and I'm not going to go down because you can go down and have a look at the comments, but somebody put, I haven't gone back and looked. This is the bit that we're fighting because in understanding, because there are two camps. There's the majority of the world that think the reason that P3 is like this is because it used to be in line with this hoof wall and it swung round. It went and rotated this way. You can kind of understand why they might think that. Until you start rehabbing these animals, and when you rehab them and you lower this heel, like Ulrika did, if you lower the heel and put P3 back into the right position, do you think P3 swings back up and sits neatly underneath this capsule again? No, because this capsule here has been removed. Now, I haven't chopped into this. It just looks a bit smoother than it would because I've put a bit of clever image sharpening on it. These red lines indicate that foot and how everything else has gone way, way out of whack. So as the heel started going up, the separation began. That meant that the hoof wall began to distort. So they started removing hoof walls in an attempt to try and get the hoof pastern axis straight. And the more they removed it, the more they lost their balance point. And you must have seen me draw this on. I did a lesson not long ago, a live. We did a live, and I don't know if you were there, Gary, and I actually showed you how it happens and how it goes up, off, 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 up. The heels come up, 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 up. Toe comes off. And so it completely goes the opposite orientation of P3. So this person in the comments went, I can't see a shortened toe. I don't even know how to explain that to you if you can't see that. Can't see it because they think P3 swung through the capsule. But if you look at the height difference here, or you look at the height, ignore the red lines for a minute, you look at the heel heights, and then you look at the dorsal wall, you can see that they're quite similar in length. That's not what happens. Look at this dorsal wall of this red line and look at the heel height that would be between these two red lines at the back. Every last little bit of this bit of wall here. So if let's just take, I can't draw on this because I haven't got it in Canva. I was just contemplating whether to put it in Canva, but I can't. So you're just going to have to deal with my tiny little arrow. Let's just take this spot here and we run all the way across like this. This area here of the dorsal hoof wall was always opposite this area here. This area here was also always opposite this area here. This P3 didn't somehow just magically go this way. This hoof wall has been growing out and away from P3 because it cannot stay connected because of the heel height. It's got nothing to do with the toe, it's all to do with the heels. So all the time that this is happening and it's distorting, they take more toe off because it looks wrong. The more toe they take off, the more sole they remove until P3 penetrates. That had nothing to do with P3 rotating through the capsule. It is impossible. Why do we know that? Well, because if we come along and we remove this bit of horn here at the back, or wedge, then that goes, we realign P3, a bit like Ulrika did, and that sticks up in the air now. It doesn't just go back. It's not swinging about in the hoof capsule. The hoof capsule has gone in a completely opposite orientation to P3. And because the entire world has misinterpreted this and still doesn't want to believe it, until you rehab horses and you see this for your own eyes and in x-rays and you drop the heel and go, oh yeah, I can see exactly that that is still connected to that. It ain't loose in there at all. Until you know that and see that, you will be forever thinking that P3 swung that way. Now, a bit earlier, I put an image, I put just here, I was playing around in Canva and I put a little arrow in just here, which is the tip of the frog, right? I put it there and I got my red lines and I reorientated the foot as if P3 would have swung back into place. And up went the frog with it, or it moved in its position. It is absolute because they are inextricably linked together. They cannot be separated. They are like Siamese twins. The sole of the foot cannot be separated, or the corium of the P3 cannot be separated from the frog. It can't be. It's fixed. It's an anatomical constant. It is fixed just behind P3. So what are you going to do? Stand there overnight looking at the bottom of the foot thinking P3 is going to, the frog's going to move in a minute, as with P3. It can't. It is fixed. Ain't going anywhere. What is going somewhere are the heels growing. And when you take those heels back, P3 is still just in front of the frog. It's an anatomical constant that has been utterly ignored by everyone because they've just looked at this X-ray and gone, P3 has just gone like that. It is absolutely impossible. Impossible. And that poor horse went on to slough its foot. I don't know how many other feet it sloughed, and they'll have put it to sleep probably. Suffered for long time, and nobody wants to blame the professionals. And HM are slagged off all over the world for saying this sort of stuff, for bringing this out into the open and saying, you should stop saying this, you should stop saying it's the professionals. Well, who else's fault was it? Because it wasn't the horses. They actually said this horse has got penetration, rotation, penetration, and sinking. What this horse had was an ignorant hoof care professional, and I hate to say it, but a very ignorant vet. And it's worldwide. And why? Because science told you, bogus science told you, P3 goes... It is impossible. It can't do that. But when you look at an X-ray and people tell you that's what happens, and you don't think beyond that because you've never rehabbed a horse from penetration, you could be forgiven from, you could sort of almost forgive them for believing it.
Yeah.
But you don't need to believe it anymore because it's not true. It's bogus science. It was a theory and they never proved it. Just like they've never proved that the DDFT pulls P3 through the capsule. There are paper upon paper upon paper talking about it with no proof. No definitive proof, because they can't prove it. Because what are they going to do? Pull P3 past its frog?
Can't happen.
Interestingly, the bit underneath on the corium, underneath P3, where the frog grows from, is called the frog stay. Interesting.
Isn't it? That's a bit ironic, isn't it?
Isn't it? Anyway, there you go. Yes, everybody's saying well done, well done, well done. Yeah, it is heartbreaking. It is. It is. Ulrika says, thank you, Gary and Lindsay, and all the wonderful people in the Phoenix group. You are welcome. You did so well. Right, we're going to leave you. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a good session. We're so nerdy, aren't we? We're just like, nerd.
We are. Well, I have to say, we're not alone anymore.
No, we're not alone anymore.
Which is great. Which is great.
It is great. And if you get a chance, go to that post on the HM public page and offer your support with us and say, come on, world, you've got to stop doing this. You've got to work it out. We'll keep telling you, you've got to work it out. And it isn't nice, and it is awful going around and blaming people, but it is their fault. Then nobody picks up a horse's foot and thinks, I'm going to hurt it, I'm going to damage the horse. Nobody does that. Everybody, they are nice people, most of these people. They just have been misinformed and misguided. Awful, isn't it?
It is.
All right, then.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Go for it, Phoenix Warriors.
See you.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Tuesday. I'll see you Tuesday. You'll see Lindsay tomorrow night.
All right, then. I'm back to my Martin Clunes out there. Gritty, gripping thriller. I'm going to go and watch episode 4. Okay. Bye.
Take care.